Hello, what's up, everybody? This is Lynn here, giving you another book review, some insights from some books. And I want you not to have to read the entire book, but get just a few little nuggets from each book I talk about and do something to adjust your life or input this wisdom in your life, and just have fun and see what happens. You're not going to have time to read all these books because you're homeschooling, but I'm giving you the book that I wish I had the knowledge of, or at least had the opportunity to read when I was growing up. But I did. So this is not going to be a complete workup of this book at all, but this is the book, The Complete Works of Florence Scovel. This is the book. So let's jump into this one. I'm only going to go through a few chapters of this because this book is rich and it's a lot. But like I said, I don't want you to take the time to read this entire book. Just get a few little nuggets from them. So let's see what we got here. First of all, you're bound by the level of your expectancy. So you know how you expect something to happen, and depending on what you expect to happen is what you look for. And then when you start looking for something, you start to act a certain way and think a certain way, and that helps those things to happen. You know, you ever go up to your parents and you're asking for something and you just know they're going to say no. You know they're going to say no. There's a certain way that you hold yourself and use your voice and you posture yourself knowing that they're going to say no. And what she's saying is that expect what you want to happen. And this goes back to one of the other books that I reviewed. It was talking about how everything that we think about when we think about the future is all made up. So why not make up the best possible scenario? All right, let's see what else we got. A big thing about what she talks about is you are offering a prayer, or you believe something. You're believing God for something. And she really stresses you acting as if you have already received what you have. So let's say, for example, that you're praying that you get an A in the class, or you pass the test, or that you learn piano, or you play excellently in whatever sport you're playing. After you pray that prayer, or think that thought, or have that dream, or have that desire, everything that you do after that needs to be intentional as it relates to you having that thing. So if the thing is passing the test, everything that you do after you pray that prayer or have that belief, everything that you do after that is creating that belief. So it's one thing to just say it. Well, it's one thing to think, it's another thing to say it. And then the last thing is to actually act as if you have whatever you have asked for. So you're supposed to, she talks about giving thanks repeatedly for what you have asked for. So you have prayed the prayer and you have the belief, and you're working on creating more of the belief. And one of the things that you do with that is you give thanks to God regarding whatever that thing is that you asked for. Okay, this is a good one. She talks about how the work that you're doing in this world is truly about believing that with God, everything is possible. And meaning with God, everything is possible is actually taking on the very nature of the fact that God is actually with you while you're doing that thing. So as you're thinking about this, young people, homeschoolers, I'm telling you that you have a desire, you have a dream, and I want you to imagine that God is with you in the valley, He's with you in the mountaintop, He's with you as you're going to study, He's with you as you're going to practice, He's with you as you're going into class, He's with you each and every step of the way at all times. It's like I always go to sports and basketball, but if you can think about how if you're asked to play a basketball game, and then the next thing that you know, instead of you doing it by yourself, you're playing the basketball game, but then the world's greatest basketball player is in the game with you and on your team. So that's what we're talking about in this section, in this book. You're going through life, but in addition to going through life, you're going through life with the understanding that God is actually with you during each and every aspect of your life. Ooh, this is real good. She says that man should make an art of thinking. And if you think about art, I really don't remember all the examples that she gave, but when you think about art is not only creative, art is something that comes from the inside of the artist, and it's something that's unique to each and every person. So it's like, I can't teach you how to think the way that you think. And art, when you think about art is not something that we do in this, and we don't like it, or we are or aggravated by it. Art is something that we do that we look forward to. It's fun. It releases more of us. So when you think about art and you're relating that to thinking, it's something that we do with joy and excitement and fun. Thinking is actually fun. She wants thinking to be fun and creative, not just A, B, and C. Many people are building a bungalow in their imagination, but they should be building a palace. So when she talks about this, she talks about how many of you young people, when you think about your future and you think about your goals and you think about your dreams, you're thinking too small. You're thinking too small. And I believe that we learn the way to think by our parents and by our environment. And it's one of those things that, like, if you've never seen a palace, then it's hard for you to imagine a palace. And all you've seen is just little things. It's hard for you to think bigger. So one thing I'm doing with these books and exposing you to these books and these different paths of thinking is I'm hoping to expand your mind to something that you normally wouldn't hear about or even think about. So she's saying, like, when you think about things, you're normally, your default is thinking too small. You're thinking about what can you do in your own strength and what have you seen in your environment. But she's saying that you should be building a palace. You should be thinking bigger. You should be thinking outside of yourself. You should be thinking that me by myself is not what I'm building. What I'm building is something that includes me and includes God and it includes other people. So have your vision so big that you need God to fulfill your vision. Oh, this is great. Be careful to only paint the divine design on the canvas of your mind. So in this statement, she's saying, don't paint something on your mind. When you paint something on a canvas, it stays there for a period of time. It's very hard to get off. It stains it. So don't have thoughts and don't have images and don't create things on the canvas of your mind and paint them on the canvas of your mind that did not come from God. I don't care if it's your parents. I don't care if it's your teachers. I don't care if it's your friends. If it's not from the truth of God's word, if it's not from the divine, then do not allow it to be painted on the canvas of your mind. That's priceless right there. If you can walk around with that, that's priceless right there. Okay, this is a good one. The Lord's Prayer. You know how the Lord's Prayer says, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven? This is what she says. The goal of light thinking is to bring the heaven of God to earth. So if God was on earth right now with you, right now, sitting in your living room, riding in your car or wherever you are, if God was with you right now, how would you feel? How would you think? How would you behave if God was with you right now? So think about God and bringing heaven on earth right now. And one of her other statements is be fearless, be full of faith, don't fight, so non-resistance, and walk in love. All right. Okay, she talks about how we have naturally built up walls of lack and delay, meaning that we have built up walls that say, I can't be more than I am as it relates as a young person in school. And delay, like, you know, oh, I have a class where I'm teaching kids how to write books. And some kids feel like, okay, I can be an author, but I can't be an author now. You know, I have to wait till I go through school or take a bunch of English classes or get real good, get a whole bunch of knowledge on a certain subject before I'm an author. So a lot of us are trained to think in lack and delay. So that is something that she's saying, the walls of lack and delay crumble away. And that's something that I believe that she talked about. This is in a book called The Secret Door to Success. That's what this book is. All right. Here's another point. This is good. Get interested in what you are doing. Dramatize your life. Make the most of who you are. God has done something unique and special on the inside of you. And this is saying that dramatize it. Get really interested in your life. Your life as a homeschooler, your life with 4 siblings, 1 sibling, no sibling, 1 parent, 2 parents. Get really excited about your life. And the more excited you get about your life, the more you can become of what God created you to be. And here's a good one. The secret to success is to make what you are doing interesting to other people. And one way to make what you're doing interesting to other people, then make it interesting to you. It's amazing right now, the reality shows and everything that we have on TV. You know, a lot of you all out there, y'all love fishing, y'all love cooking, y'all love cleaning. And now there's like a reality show just on fishing. And it's exciting because the people that are fishing are excited. There's a reality show about cleaning and organizing your home. You also watch that. But if you watch it, it's exciting. It's because they're excited about it and they made it exciting to other people. So regardless of what you're good at, regardless of what your dream is, make it exciting to you first and guarantee someone else is going to find that thing exciting. You attract the things that you give a great deal of thought to. So think about the things that you give a great deal of thought to. Those are the things that you are attracting in your life. And think about it. If you're thinking about things that cause fear, then fear is what you're attracting. Fear is is the emotional state that you're going to be in for the majority of the time. So it really doesn't matter about your external environment. What you're going to experience is fear. Same thing with joy. Same thing with peace. Whatever you focus on will grow in your experience of life. Oh, she asked a really good question. What do you expect? Because your expectancy is going to drive what you decide to do and how you actually feel, your attitude while you're doing it. What do you expect to happen? If you change your expectancy, then you change your conditions. So like if you change what you expect to happen, then your conditions will change. Begin to act like, she said this in another book, I'm saying it again. Begin to act like you expect something good to happen, young people. Expect something good to happen. Prepare for the best. This is something that she says to recite to yourself. I am unmoved by appearances, therefore appearances move. Now listen to that. You are not shaken by the things that happen around you, things that are happening around you because of what you do. So you're not affected by your external environment. You affect your external environment. That's what she's saying. But you're gonna have to say that enough to yourself to believe that you're not subject to your environment. True prayer yields preparation. When you pray, act as if you have already received what you have asked for. She said that again here. Faith without works, faith without action is dead. She said, stay tuned up. You know how people say stay ready so you don't have to get ready? She said, stay tuned up. Always ask in faith and trust in God for the supply of what you have need of. So you ask in faith and you start to move and you walk by faith. And even though you don't know how it's going to happen, you believe that God is going to provide the supply once you get to the place that you need the next supply. Well, she's talking about staying tuned up. So that means that you need to be in tune with God. As you're in tune with God, then you start to move and He's going to direct your path. I must act, this is something else. I must act with motives of faith, not fear. I must stay in tune to my motives. I must watch my motives with all diligence because out of them scream the issues of life. What are the hidden reasons why you're doing what you're doing? And if it's driven by fear, then she's saying stay away from that. Recognize it and stay away from it. Are you doing what you're doing because you're scared that something else might happen? Or are you intentional about doing things because you're full of faith? I'm doing what I'm doing because I believe God's going to supply all my needs. Or I'm doing what I'm doing because I believe God is with me and He's going to get me through this. He has commanded me to be strong and courageous, so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Instead of I'm doing this because I'm scared that this is going to happen. I'm doing this because I'm scared that that's going to happen. It's a different way of thinking. You combine with what you notice. If you are always noticing lack and negativity, then that is what you will join yourself with. But if you are noticing excitement, joy, health, and wealth, then you will be connected with that. You ever run those people, you might have some of those friends that they always can pick out something that's going wrong. They can always pick out the negative person. They can always pick out something that is wrong with the situation or something that's wrong with somebody or something that's wrong with themselves. The more you connect yourself with that type of person, that's who you're going to become. I wonder if y'all have heard the quote, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. So take a look at the friends that you surround yourself with. You know, how do they talk? How do they think? How do they behave? What results do they have in their life? If that's what you want, then hang out with them. If it's not what you want, then you need some new friends. Develop the habit of living in the fourth dimension. The dimension where you do not judge based on appearances is where you have trained yourself to see through failure, through sickness, to success and health. So regardless of what you see with your eyes, You have trained yourself to see past your current experience to the experience that you know God has in store for you. It takes practice, that's a skill, that's effort. And this is another thing that she says you should constantly say to yourself, that my supply comes from God. That your supply comes from God. So that is just real quick. That's what, I mean, there, of course there's a lot more because it's a huge book, but that was just my little takeaways for you all to get to understand. And it's not about you getting everything from the book, but get something. Grab onto one thing that you can grab onto and run with that and just see how it shifts your experience of life. This is Lynn Pierre. I hope you have enjoyed my book review today. See you soon.